46 of the Hannah on the Road podcast. I'm Annalisa, your host for today and always, and as usual, I'm coming to you from my living room in Berlin, where unfortunately the beautiful spring weather that we had passed, and it's a bit grey outside. I still hope the lighting is okay, and first and foremost, I do hope you're well, because we haven't seen each other in quite a while. I have to admit, I'm a tiny bit scared that I completely unlearned how to do this podcasting thing, so bear with me if this episode might be slightly more jumbled and frazzled than the other ones that I recorded previously. Before we jump into why I was absent for a few months, let me just get all the administrative stuff out of the way. If you want to find show notes or links to anything that I'm talking about today, you can find them in the down bar in the description box below. And if you want to find out more about me, about the shop, go to HLH-designs.com or HLH.designs on Instagram. Those are the two places where I'm most active online. I wonder if there's anything else that I used to say about this administration stuff, but maybe not, and maybe if there was, then it will either come back to me or not, because these days pregnancy brain is kicking in, you guys, and that is also one of the reasons why I was so absent in front of the camera, because for the first 3 months of this year, my body and my brain was mainly preoccupied with growing this, well, it's not like a little, it's a bump, with this bump here, and with all the changes that brings to life. Thankfully, I had a quite easy first trimester, mainly thanks to, honestly, some really high dosage vitamin B prep stuff to battle the nausea and the morning sickness. So yay for that. That helped me well. So yeah, that's also already the big news. It's not the only reason why I stopped podcasting, but it's the main one, I guess, because it was hard enough not to talk about it online. We told our family and close friends quite early on in the pregnancy, because I believe that even if you have, or not I believe, but I wanted to be able to share it even if I had a miscarriage, because I couldn't imagine a scenario in where I was pregnant and then I wasn't, and I couldn't talk to anyone about it while I was feeling shitty. So yeah, we did that, but I wasn't ready to share it online just yet. It was not really necessarily a thing of not like the mythical 3-month special thing that we wanted to cross, or I wanted to cross. It was more a thing of keeping these precious news to ourselves a little bit longer, because it's magical news as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, so that's why. And I also didn't really feel as if I could jump in front of the camera and talk about all the things that I usually talk about without actually addressing the elephant in the room. Yeah, I also wasn't feeling super good in my body. I mean, pregnancy comes with, I think, the most major changes that a body can go through after puberty, and I was tired, I felt bloated, it was, yeah, I just didn't feel comfortable, and that's not a state that I like to be in front of a camera in. In addition to that, life was just really, really full and really busy with both businesses, with me taking on a lot more responsibility and making stories, and that was good. But it also just meant that I kept postponing the podcast and postponing until now, when it's mid-April. I have a pile of stuff here. I have my phone on the other side of me, because I asked for what you wanted to know from me in this first podcast after the hiatus, and I have a list of questions, so it might be that this episode is slightly longer than my usual, just under 30 minutes. Yeah, so grab a cup of tea. Speaking of, I have mine just here, and I'm gonna take a quick sip. This is actually a live recording of the first ever sip that I'm taking of this tea, because I decided to break open a package of tea that I got in Edinburgh when I was on a little adventure trip with my friend Maria. We went to Pico Tea, which is a lovely little tea shop that also had a lot of hat samples from my friend Claire Divine, who designed a hat collection inspired by teas from their shop. And A, the packaging is gorgeous, and B, I think the teas smell amazing and they taste good too. So now I can vouch for it. So what I'm drinking here is a fruit infusion. It's called Cloudcatcher, and it's with apple pieces, kiwi and sour cherry, cranberry slices and coconut flakes, and it's really nice. I'm imagining that might also make for a good iced tea for the summer. Yeah, summer is something that is probably gonna come sooner than we all expect, given the fact that it's already been a couple of days with 20 degrees here in Berlin. And I'm dreading it slightly because I'm imagining it won't be as much fun being pregnant in like 35-degree weather. But there's nothing that I can do about it, so yeah. Just to sum that whole pregnancy thing up, I'm due mid-September, if that is something that you're asking yourself. The other question that I usually get asked is, do we know the gender? Yes, we know the gender. No, we're not telling anyone the gender, not even our parents, not even our closest family, friends. If you're interested in why, happy to go into that in more detail in one of the upcoming episodes. But if you really are interested, do leave me a comment below so that I know that you are, because I don't want this to turn into a baby podcast. Sure, the baby and then the kid, when it's here, will be a significant part of our lives. But I don't see myself only being interested in the baby. I think there will be other interests and other things to talk about in this podcast. So yes, there will be baby related content, mostly probably related to the stuff that I'm knitting and working on, and I also have a couple of things that I wanted to show you that lovely friends have made for us already. But this will by no means turn into like a baby parenting podcast, as is planned right now. So yeah, if you have any other questions about the pregnancy, shoot, like just leave a comment down below and I'll tackle them in the next episode. Yeah, what do we start with today? I thought I would start with a quick view of the actually only one thing that I'm currently actively working on. I am looking at my work in progress basket that is sitting over there and has been quite neglected because I haven't knit a lot in the past 5 months. At first it was the one thing that would really trigger nausea despite my lovely vitamin B pills in the first 3 months, and I just don't know, I don't feel like picking up the needles. I've been reading tons, which is my current preferred hobby of choice, and I see myself picking up the needles. Like I get these glimpses of motivation, but I'm not trying to push myself too hard, and I'm trying to be okay with not wanting to knit right now, which is honestly a little bit hard, not because I feel the Instagram stress of having to knit all the things or stuff like that, but because I actually gave my family vouchers for knitted things for Christmas. So I have a jumper, a shawl, and a pair of socks that I should be knitting, I think, but they'll be fine without them too. So yeah. Anyways, one thing that I am knitting on at the moment is hosted in this wonderful little drawstring bag that I got from my friend Maria, who's Ninja Chickens, when we shared an apartment at UIF, and she eco-printed these bags. Oh, and they're so cute and so good and great for carrying around projects or anything really. So here's a little glimpse at what I'm working on. It's gonna be a baby sweater, maybe more like a toddler sweater. It seems to be really big. I also didn't swatch for this, because I figure if it comes out too big, they can always wear it like when they grow into it, right? So yeah, that is one thing that I'm currently working on. And this is in Tulliver yarns, DK, BFL Mesh and DK, and it's gonna have little stripes. I completely blank on the name of the pattern, but I think it's a Free Revelry pattern, so I will share that in the next episode when I've maybe worked a little bit more on this. The other thing that I wanted to share on this work in progress are these super cute little stitch markers. These cute little stitch markers by my friends Pia and Ella and Dennis Kammerborn, by the Kammerborns from the Kammerbornia podcast, which they gifted to me, and they are the cutest. So yay, yay for friends who knit. Oh, and yes, we will talk a little bit about Edinburgh. I know it's already been a couple of weeks since EYF, but I have a couple of things that I picked up there that I wanted to share with you, and I also think I have 1 or 2 questions related to Edinburgh that I got. So yes. So that is one thing that I'm currently working on. I also wanted to show you one thing that I knit, and then 2 things that lovely friends made for our little upcoming human baby that's coming. So I made a tiny little short-sleeved cardigan. This is a variation on the newborn vertebrae, a free pattern on Ravelry that I've knit for quite a few friends of mine who've been expecting, and I really like it because it's a super quick knit. It looks good in almost any yarn, and yeah, if you run out of yarn like I did, you can just make a short sleeve version of this. This was a 50-gram skein of Quince & Co. Finch, I think, in the clay colorway that I had in my stash. And I'm really looking forward just to knitting out all the 50 and 100-gram skeins of non-fingering weight yarn that I have in my stash for baby things, because there are quite a lot of them, and usually I don't really do anything with them. So yeah, that is one thing that I made. And I'm pretty sure there will be more things to come. Now, as to the things that other people have made for our little one, I already talked a little bit about Maria, there are no words to describe Maria and to describe the wonderful time that we had together at EYF. We shared an apartment with 8 other people, the Commonborns amongst them, and it was magical. It was just really good coming home. See, that's one indication, right, that I say I'm coming home. Just coming back to the apartment after a long day at the festival and just feeling comfortable and being able to be yourself, and it was a delight. And yeah, Maria is everything. And Maria gifted us the very first hand knit thing for our baby, and it's this amazing little hat, and every time that I look at it, I'm just so, I don't know, almost brings tears to my eyes, because it reminds me how lucky we are to have people like Maria in our lives. So yeah, this is in yarn that she hand dyed with indigo, and yeah, it's great. Thank you so much again, Maria. Then, a few days ago, we received a package from one of my oldest friends, who does not live in Berlin anymore, sadly, and she is one of the friends who took up knitting a little while ago, and she's also gotten into crochet. And I knew what she was working on, but I was only expecting to get that gift when the baby was actually born, so I was really surprised to get that package in the mail with this adorable frog. Oh, isn't this cute? This is so cute. I love it. So this is crochet, obviously, and this is from a wonderful book which name I like. I think her name is maybe Pika Pao, the designer. Anyway, so there's a book with I think 16 different animals in like stuffy patterns. And the frog is one of them, and I think it's awesome. And it even, you know, like it's bathing shorts that I'm not gonna undress the frog in front of the camera. I think that might be weird, but you can take them off, and isn't this the cutest thing ever? So thank you so much, Elena, for making this. This is awesome. So yeah, I feel so loved just looking at those things that friends have made with their own hands, because I know how much time goes into them and how much energy, and I know that with every single stitch they might have been thinking about us. So that's just it's a really wonderful feeling, and it's something that I really, really value. Anyways, let's move on to a couple of things that I wanted to share around EYF, and I hesitate to call this segment acquisitions because I don't really like hauls, but I picked up a few things that I think are worth mentioning here, because I hope that they're going to make an appearance here on the podcast in the next few months. And I also just want to share my love for these yarn companies and these makers with you. What am I going to start with? I'm going to start with the non-yarny stuff. So one thing that I've been using a ton is a gift from the wonderful Paula from Moel Yarn, who had the most gorgeous booth the second year in a row, I think, at EYF, and who was there with her delightful husband, and the two are just such a gem, and they were so overjoyed with the news, with the baby, and it was just, yeah. And Paula is doing amazing work. One of the things that she launched at EYF is a version of her lotion balm. So she's had lotion balms in her shop for a while, but not in this format, which is this really cool packaging. That's a stick, so you can press this up. I'm not going to press this up because I'm not entirely sure if you can press it down again, but it's a stick that you can then just like rub on. Well, I use it on my hands, but she also told me it's excellent for my belly, and yeah, it's like a lotion bar that you can just chuck in your handbag and use it, and it's not gonna like make a mess or anything. And I think it's beautiful packaging. She designed all of this herself, and I got the sweet orange and vanilla bean scent, which is amazing. I know that I think she sold out at EYF of these, but I'm pretty sure that she either has them back in stock in her web shop right now, or that she's gonna have them back, and they're definitely worth picking up one. Thank you so much, Paula, for that. The next thing that I wanted to share is a zine that I picked up, and it's a zine from my friend Mimi, her Yarnchix zine, and this is, I love Mimi, and I love how Mimi approaches, I even hesitate to call it work, because she has such a special place, I think, in the community, and this zine is, it's just art. It's, well, not just, but like, it's art. It's really good and so full of heart and so full of Mimi, and I just love it. I picked this up from Eula's booth, from Hey Mama Wolf, and yeah, it's just really, I don't know, it makes me happy every time that I look at it. So yeah, so this is Mimi's Yarnchix zine. This is number 5, by the way. Speaking of zines, the other two things that I want to share with you that I picked up that are not yarn are from the wonderful Katie Green. So Katie is an illustrator, and I would also call her a mental health advocate because she's been very vocal about her mental health struggles. And Katie had a pop-up shop at EYF, and it was so wonderful to meet you again in person, Katie, and to chat and to have some time with you there and to see you. It was just one of my absolute highlights of EYF. I picked up her zine More Than Yarn, which honestly I have not had the mind space to look into and the time, because I really want to settle down with a cup of tea under a blanket and read this and look at the gorgeous illustrations. The other thing that I picked up is her British Sheep Breeds tea towel. So this is how it comes. I wanted to show you the packaging because I think that she takes so much care with the packaging and with everything, and this is just so good. Like, just look at it. Isn't this gorgeous? So yeah, I don't think, well, I'm not one to be precious about, like, I want beautiful things in our home, so we have a lot of beautiful dish towels that are used as dish towels, right? So they get dirty. This is not going to be used as dish towels. I'm imagining that this is going to be hanging in my studio downstairs. Those are the things that I picked up from EYF that are not yarn related things. And then with regards to the yarn related things, I had a plan. Well, I had to make a plan, because let me tell you a little bit about EYF. If you've been there, you know this. If you haven't, it's completely overwhelming, or at least it's completely overwhelming to me. And especially with the pregnancy, I wasn't really sure how I would deal with the fact that in the main marketplace, there's no fresh air, there is no light. They have, Joe and Mika have done a wonderful job of installing a marquee the past 2 years, which provides a lot of light and a lot more seating space, so that was great, and I took advantage of that this year. But the main marketplace is usually really, really crowded, and it was no different this year. When I got there, the first day of the marketplace on Thursday, I walked into the main area, I walked down an aisle, and I was like, it's too much for me. It's too much, it's too hot, I don't want to faint here in the marketplace at EYF. That would not be my preferred way of leaving this room. So I went to the marquee, I sat down, I took down my little notebook, and I made a list of all the booths that I wanted to see, and the yarns that I wanted to pick up, and the people that I wanted to meet. And I stuck to that plan, and that was great, because it allowed me to really focus on the things that I wanted to focus on, and not get distracted, because there's an incredible amount of distraction. It also means that I might have missed out on things that I would have loved, but honestly, that way around was much preferred than just being completely overwhelmed and not being able to enjoy the conversations with the people who I really, really wanted to talk to. So the yarn purchases that I made are all from that list, and I knew that I wanted to pick up a skein of DK weight yarn from Cardigan at Trustee yarn, because I want to make myself a version of my near and far socks that are, by the way, now available as a single pattern on Ravelry if you're interested in them, and I'll insert a little picture here. So I picked up a skein of the yarn that the pattern is written for, which is his Skilfing DK. It's a 75 BFL, 25% Gotland, sourced, spun, dyed up in the UK, and this is the colorway Uist trim. And I think this is going to be really, really pretty in that pair of socks. So that's something that I will knit up eventually. And I just love his work. We've worked a lot with him, or quite a lot with him, for making stories, and he was, being in his booth at EYF was just so wonderful. Yeah, thank you for making me feel so welcome, Cardigan. I don't know if you're even watching this, but guys, like, he does really great work. Trustee yarn, if you're looking for UK sourced, hand-dyed, beautiful colors, is where it's at. The second thing that I bought yarn related at EYF was a sweaters quantity for me. I knew that I wanted to have a sweaters quantity, and I knew where I wanted to look for it. I just wasn't sure that I would find it. For the past 2 EYFs, I've looked at Uist wool, and I love what they're doing. I love their yarns. I've just never found anything that really speaks to me. For this year's EYF, I really enjoyed what Joe and Mika did in the Baron room. So the entire Baron room was dedicated to sort of, I think it was the wool exploration room. So it was a lot of really woolly wools in there, the kind that I absolutely love. And amongst others, Uist wool was there as well. And I was with my lovely friend and our tech editor Marina, and yeah, she was like, if you find something there, you should pick it up because they usually sell out, and I hear that they actually sold out quite soon. So yeah, so I picked a sweater's worth, so 4 skeins of Conntraigh, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, which is a DK weight yarn. It's a blend of Cheviot and Hebridean. And it's this amazing blend of different natural shades of grey. Like, this is gonna look so good knit up. I don't have a pattern in mind just yet. I'm thinking something really simple to show off the fabric and the variations in the yarn. And yeah, I'm gonna take my sweet time with this because this is gonna be good and cherished. The third thing that I had on my yarn list was something for baby, and something for baby quickly transformed into something for baby from Garthenor, because Garthenor, hands down, you lovelies made my EYF so much better. So Johnny and his lovely sister and his lovely mom they're the kindest people. We partnered with them for making stories because they have a design in issue 1 and they had a bunch of copies at their booth that they've sold out of on day 2, I think. And we had a little meet and greet, so I spent quite some time with them. It was a delight. Made me feel warm and welcome, and I knew that I wanted to capture that feeling in something that I was going to make for the little baby that was with me at EYF this year. So on the last day, I picked up 2 skeins of Garthenor's Ronas, which is their organic native Shetland wool. It's a fingering, and this is the shade Shale. And yeah, I don't know yet what this is gonna be. I'm thinking maybe a cardi. We'll see. So I have 100 grams, and I think this might make for a lovely drapey fabric, so we'll see what that's gonna be. And yes, our kid just has to get used to wearing wool, so there's no way around that. That is everything that I picked up at EYF. The last acquisition that I wanted to share with you is something that I picked up at Smitha, which is one of our stockists in Helsinki. So after I came back from EYF, I had a few days here at home in Berlin, and then I was off to Helsinki and then to Nice for a little bit of vacation with a friend of mine. And while I was in Helsinki, I made sure to meet our wonderful graphic designer Camille in person for the first time, and B, do that at one of the most gorgeous yarn shops that I've ever set foot in, Snorre, with Mikko and Anne. Not sure if you guys are watching this. If you are, hi, thank you so much for hosting us, for making us coffee, for making us feel welcome. They moved their space about 3 months ago, and it's now this absolutely gorgeous, sorry, that was a little alarm that I set myself for 29 minutes, because that is exactly how long my camera is able to record before it switches itself off automatically. So, so Mikko and Anne have the most gorgeous yarn shop. It's light filled, it has all the good colors, it's just really, really good. And I got intrigued by a yarn that I hadn't seen before, which is Dansk Pelsult 8-2. It's a classic fingering weight, and I don't speak Danish, but this is spun at HLH Designs, and yeah, like, it's a 100% wool, I'm assuming, I think. So yeah, and it's gorgeous. and I have no idea what you can make with it. But so yeah, that's one thing that I also purchased since we saw each other the last time. Speaking of purchasing, before we dive into the questions list, I wanted to share two things with you that are related to spending money on products that I believe are worth spending money for, and shameless self-promotion. One is issue 1 of our new Making Stories magazine that's been out for about 2 weeks now, and we've heard great things from you guys about it, which makes me extremely, extremely happy. There are a lot of you who've purchased subscriptions, but if you haven't heard of it already, go to makingstories.com, take a look at the lookbook, and there are definitely a few things in there that I'm going to be casting on very soon. The other thing is that today, as I'm recording this, it's Friday, and tonight at 7 p.m. there's going to be a shop update. So you know that I've transitioned out of shop updates, except for special collaborations, and such a collaboration is launching tonight, and it's a collaboration that I did with Elke from Tulliver yarn. And I knew when I planned out the collaborations for this year that I wanted to do something with Elke, because Elke is an amazing natural dyer based here in Berlin, and I really love her aesthetic for color. I love her super calm approach to everything. I love her honesty about business, and I really, really wanted to work with her. And we came up with something pretty special that we haven't had in this, well, we have had it in this format, but we have never had it in this exact sort of like how things work together. So let me show you. The kit consists of a sock kit and a bag. And let's talk about the bag first before we go into the sock kit. So this is a medium-sized project bag of ours. It's the classic medium size that's great for hosting a pair of socks or a hat or anything like that. And what's so special about this is the contrast fabric here, because not only is that hand dyed with indigo by Elke, but it's also made out of linen damask napkins that she sourced from a fabric stash that she inherited from the mother of a friend of hers. So those are some of the most beautiful hand-dyed fabrics that I've ever seen. They're lightly patterned. If you're familiar with that type of napkin or serviette, it's what women used to make before they got married, and then they would have that in their household and only pull it out for really special occasions, and that's what she dyed over. So this is incredibly special fabric. And we decided to pair that with a sock kit that consists of a 100 gram skein of her high twist sock base, which is a 100% Corriedale. It's non-superwash, no nylon, and there's also a mini skein. And there are 3 different colors for the sock set. So there's gray, then there's light pink, and dark pink. And each kit comes with a bag and a sock kit. They're going to be launching tonight at 7 p.m. In my web shop. We've only made a really limited quantity of those. We do have a little bit of fabric left, so if we sell out super quickly, we might open pre-orders for them again. Okay, let's continue. I have one more thing that I wanted to talk about, but I think that might actually be nice closing everything out with. So let's go into the question list. I'm gonna go on Instagram and pull up the post where you lovelies sent me your questions. Also, baby bump pictures do incredibly well on Instagram. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through them sort of like as I come across them in the comments. So Britt asked, how about what you would like to make for your baby, or what project will pamper your soul while waiting for the baby? So with regards of what I want to make for the baby, I think I'm honestly just gonna leave it up to my mood. So as I said, I have a couple of single skeins of yarn downstairs in my studio that I would like to make something out of for the baby. Then I would definitely like to make something out of the Ronas for the baby. But the only other really concrete knitting plan that I have is that I would like to make a blanket, and I will probably make that out of some Deriro Natura yarn, because I think that's a really good workhorse yarn. It's soft but also sturdy, and it does not break the bank, because you need quite a lot of yarn for a blanket, and I don't want to spend like 350 euros on yarn for a baby blanket. So I'm gonna go to my Liz Vollen in the future at some point and pick up some yarn for that. With regards to which project will pamper my soul while waiting for the baby, I don't know just yet, honestly. When it comes to knitting, maybe the sweater that I picked up for myself, but also it could just very well be one of the gifts that I gave away for Christmas. I still don't really feel like knitting, so I'm pampering myself in other ways. I'm reading a lot, I'm taking a lot of naps, so yeah. Ifyan asked whether I also plan to knit for our baby, and if I want to talk about the knitting patterns behind it. So as I said, yes, I definitely plan to, and I will also share the knitting patterns that I'm going to be using. And I think what might be really interesting is then, once the baby is actually here and once they're wearing whatever I made, maybe revisiting that and seeing what worked well and what didn't. Because being a first-time mom, I'm looking at all the beautiful things on Ravelry, but I don't really know what's going to be useful or practical. Like, the only way that I can judge right now is whether I find it aesthetically pleasing or not. And I think it might be fun to maybe work on a little list of my top 5 baby knitting patterns in terms of practicability as well. So just as a thought, that might be something that I get into. Jessica asked a similar thing, if I'm starting any baby knits yet. So yes, I've shown you a couple, and there will definitely be more. There was a question around the due date, which I also answered, and then there is a wonderful question by my friend Mars. So Mars is someone, you might know her as Hey Brownberry on Instagram, and also from her wonderful podcast. I met Mars for the first time in person at UIF. For me, going to a festival like UIF is work. It's not that I'm going there for what the majority of people is going there for, which is meeting their friends and squishing yarn. I'm also going there for that, but I'm in a very different mindset when I'm at a festival like that. It's for me, and I think I'm not alone in that, one of the only and major opportunities to actually meet people that I work with face to face. And that is something that I cherish very, very much. I just really value being able to walk up to stockers and designers and yarn partners and people that I've been in touch with over the last year and say thank you and say hi, I'm Hannah-Lisa. I just wanted to say hi and see how you are. And that is what I'm there for. Those connections. And so the way that I approach a yarn festival like UIF is also a little bit different. You know, it's not just about what I want to look at and what brings me pleasure. It's about who is going to be there. So I have a list of people that I want to meet. I want to have I have a list of meetings, I have a list of lunches, you know, and I'm gonna, like, I'm always trying to pepper it with having breakfast with friends that I haven't seen in most cases for a year. And yeah, so the lens that I'm looking through when I look at something like UIF is very much a work-related lens that also extends to which booths I'm interested in, because mostly I'm also there to scout for yarn partners, for designers that I find interesting, for colors, I find it incredibly interesting looking at what other people are interested in and seeing how EYF evolves every year, which decisions are made about which yarn partners or which exhibitors are there and not, what people gravitate towards. So yeah, there's all of that, which I love, but I also have to keep reminding myself that it's okay to feel exhausted after a full day at the festival, because it is work, you know. It's not just sitting there and knitting a little bit and drinking tea, which is lovely, but it's not what my day there looks like. It looks very different. And what was interesting about this year's EYF was that I did not expect to be recognized by so many people. So there were a lot of conversations that I had from people who recognized me and who complimented me on the Making Stories work, and that it made me feel good. It made me feel good because it is a sign that we are seen and that people appreciate the work that we do. It's not about me, you know. It's like about me as the representative of this business, and that's wonderful. It's wonderful to see the progress that we made, also in the response that we get. So yeah, that was really interesting. I mean, that also meant like there was hardly a time where I could actually sit and catch my breath, and that was at times difficult because, well, baby and lower energy levels than usual, but I made sure to plan everything around it, and I had a couple of people who took very good care of me and who checked in with me when whether I was feeling okay, and I very, very much appreciated that. So I enjoyed EYF this year tremendously. I think it was the best festival that I've had so far, and I'm really hoping for next year. There is another facet to Marcy's question, which I might go into when we talk a little bit more in an upcoming episode about what's going to happen to HLH Designs, especially when I go on maternity leave when the baby comes. But that's the facet of what does it do to you as a maker and as someone who runs a making-based business to see competition. Yeah, and that's not very much related to Making Stories, not at all. But it's related to the other work that I'm doing, the HLH Designs work, to the question of, does it bring value to the world, what I'm doing with that? Is that still the case? You know, have I been sort of like leapt over by the competition? How are those things looking like? How are those things shaping up? And I think that would be a longer conversation that I would want to save for another time. If you are interested in that facet, do let me know in the comments below, and then I'll tackle that. Let's go back to the question list. Okay, Rika asked about my take on summer knits, yarn choices, patterns. So I absolutely love knitting with linen, and if you've been watching this podcast for a while, that you'll know that I did a linen cal, I think maybe 2 years ago, and linen is my preferred fiber of choice for knitting in the summer. I love the fabric that you create with it, and I absolutely love the sort of linen tops that I was able to create, which God knows whether they're gonna fit this year, but we'll see. So that's my preferred fiber of choice. I've honestly never knit anything with cotton just because I don't even like the feel of it in the skein, but I want to try something for the baby. I hear that it's quite a challenging fiber for knitting bigger garments in it just because it's not nearly as elastic, and that's a problem, yeah, because it's going to stretch longer. I've also knit a couple of summer tops out of silk yarns that came from like a super old stash, so they are good too, but not my favorite. The linen ones are really my favorite. In terms of pattern choices, maybe we'll save that for when summer is actually here, but there are a couple of really, really gorgeous sort of like sleeveless top patterns that I love. So my preferred sort of like shape of choice for summer is a tank top with a nice little detail. I'm not one for spaghetti straps, but like something with a bit of a bigger sort of strap here. and then maybe a nice detailing at the hem or some interesting shaping, things like that. Yeah, those were the questions from you lovelies, and if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I would also just love to hear how you are and whether you're happy that I'm back or whether you did not miss me at all. So yeah, that's, I think, everything with regards to that. And what I want to close with is a recommendation. As I said before, I've been reading a lot, and it's been one of the things that's brought me a lot of joy this year already. And I stumbled upon a new to me author a while ago on Goodreads when I was looking for female or female identifying authors who are writing science fiction, because there are not enough of them, and I'm tired of reading things that have been written by men, quite honestly. And I stumbled across Emma Newman, and I ordered her first, well, she has a couple of different series of books, and I ordered the first book of one of the series, which is called Planetfall, and I've devoured it. Like, it's so good. I'm through the 3 books that are out now. The next one is going to come out next week. I already pre-ordered it. So the series is called the Planetfall series, or Planetfall series. There's Planetfall, then there's After Atlas and Before Mars, and I'm blanking on the name of the 4th one, but you'll find that if you look for Emma Newman. And all of these are set in the same universe, but they're not it's not like sequels, but they are related. So when you read this and then you read the second one, you're related to what's happening here, and then when you read the third one, you're related to what's happening here in the other one. And I'm really curious because I think the 4th one is going to bring some of those aspects together, and I just love this approach. I love her writing. It's really good. It grips you. It's filled with characters that are a true representation of our world, no matter whether it's coming to gender identification or sexual orientation or what we like or dislike, mental health, and they are extremely good. So I highly, highly recommend them. Planetfall Universe by Emma Newman. I think that is everything for today, lovelies. As always, I hope you had a wonderful time with a little bit of tea and a little bit of knitting and me talking with you. If you have any questions, any comments, please do leave them in the comment section down below, and I can't wait to be back here with you in 2 weeks. Bye bye!